Here we go. Woo! Gonna try to remember my microphone muting and unmuting this morning. So I'm gonna mute that one for a sec. Steve DeRocco, the original rock. What is up, Steve DeRocco? Polar bear weather, man. Here we go.
This Duel.
Glory, glory, hallelujah, and praise be not only to the football gods on high, who this weekend will shower many football blessings upon us, although they kind of screwed us over yesterday with regard to the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. But that's not here nor there. We open in triumph on a football Friday. We open in gratitude. We open in exaltation. And as we deliver high praise to the football gods on this day, January 28th, throughout the morning, we shall also pay respect, homage, and celebrate a living basketball god who walks the face of this earth and has ever since he was born on this day in 1949. Happy birthday, Gregory Charles Popovich, a.k.a. Pop. It's the Chris Duel Show with Shannon Salty Sweeney. Shannon, what did you get Pop for his birthday?
I'm still working on it because I guess I'm a last-minute gift giver, but I can't think of anyone who's waking up in the world today more excited about it being their birthday and to be celebrated and talked to and smiled at and just given, the happy birthday. Oh my God. Are you like all of it? Take him to whatever restaurant sings the loudest, brings out the most confetti, makes you wear a silly hat, maybe even get on a horse. I'm so excited to see all the photos and videos that come of it, because I know if there's one thing I know about Greg Popovich, it's that he loves to be celebrated, especially on his birthday.
Yeah. I
don't know.
He probably is already awake right now, wearing his underoos, just excited. It's like, it's my birthday. It's my birthday. People are going to celebrate me. Yes. Totally agree. Greg Popovich throughout. In fact, a little bit later this morning, we have a very cool audio montage tribute to Greg Popovich. So while we do sports birthdays every morning at about 7:35, I can't just wait until 7:35 on this one because it's so big. Happy birthday, Coach Greg Popovich. Let's see, Shannon, doing my Holmes High School math. He was born in 1949. I believe that makes him 73 this morning. Woo!
I believe that is correct.
Please don't go, Pop. Yeah, especially now that Becky Hammond is leaving. Please don't go. You and Tom Brady just keep doing what you're doing. That's all I ask. All right, it's kind of a mixed bag this morning, Shannon. And we'll meet Dave Ehler here in a moment wearing his St. Louis Blues t-shirt. But yes, we're celebrating Greg Popovich's birthday. Yes, we got great football this weekend. Oh, my God. We'll do our football picks just after 8 o'clock. We got great guests this morning. Coach A, Paul Alexander, in less than an hour, just after 7 o'clock. In the 8 o'clock hour, we love him. Personal friend of yours, Mike Hardball HARDGE, who is just blowing it up on the sports grind every afternoon on these radio stations at 2 p.m., 2 to 4. We'll not only talk NFL weekend picks with HARDGE, but being a professional baseball player, his thoughts on the latest from the Baseball Hall of Fame and the current baseball lockout and more. He's also a Texas Longhorns source of information as well. See, we got all this going on, Shannon. It's Friday. We're all happy. However, and it was such a 1-2 punch. It was like, get me excited. Oh my God. I'm thinking about the possibilities. And then bam, Just a shot to the gut, a shot to the jaw. Down I go on the canvas. Down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier, which is Howard Cosell when Joe Frazier was knocked down by George Foreman. But so first of all, and I sent it to you immediately as soon as I found out, and you found out probably simultaneously. We learned, shocker among shockers, Dan Quinn decides, nope, there are 9 coaching openings, but I'm not having any of them. I am going to stay as defensive coordinator with the Dallas Cowboys. At which time, Shannon, I do my happy dance, and I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, does this mean that Jerry is getting ready to fire Mike McCarthy? It's like, don't go anywhere, Dan, because we got this head coaching job for you. And then like 2 hours later, the news drops that the Dallas Cowboys are keeping Mike McCarthy for the 2022 season. From the high of highs to the low of low. Now I know the Cowboys will either not go to the playoffs or will be one and done in next year's playoffs with Mike McCarthy at the helm. Shannon, how did you see this news yesterday? How do you see this news this morning?
I'm going to take the glass half full approach and say that if we're not going to get rid of Mike McCarthy, it is for the best that we are able to keep Dan Quinn, right? I mean, it feels like a good cop, bad cop scenario where Mike McCarthy is just a bad cop and that he's a bad coach, and we've got to have the good cop around to keep him in line and keep things going in the right direction. The fear that things would really fall apart without Dan Quinn, at least that is gone. And at the very least, you would hope that they would pick up where they left off, and that all Mike McCarthy needs to focus on during the offseason is, how to tell time. I want to see an assortment of watches on that man. I want a calculator watch. I want a smart watch. I want a Rolly Rolex, because Lord knows he can afford it. I want him to tell time and spend time at the track, just hitting time all of it. And I think you need to have Dan Quinn there with you too, in your ear, to keep you honest with it.
Yeah, and maybe Jerry, find some smart kid from MIT or somewhere, and maybe it's time for a clock management assistant coach who just stands next to Mike McCarthy and goes, you've got 3 timeouts.
Yeah.
And there's 2:43 remaining on the, because since he apparently can't handle that.
I don't think that's
and
crazy.
Every other coach has since the beginning of football.
I don't think that's crazy. Sean McVay literally has a guy on a sideline who just stands next to him to pull him back when he gets too close onto the field. I mean, there's montages of it. It's great. If we can hire one of those guys, we can get someone to manage the clock for Mr. McCarthy on the sideline.
And Shannon, Dan Quinn, from his perspective, 2 things that strike me. Number one, I don't really get it, because his stock right now is probably as high as it's ever going to be. As far as coming off the Cowboys and what he did with that defense. I mean, can he replicate that next year? God, I hope so. But the odds are against it that defense is going to be that remarkable, and B, what a transition from historically worst defense in Cowboys history to one of the best ever. Secondly, he now knows Mike McCarthy's going to be the head coach. So you've got Sean Payton out there in waiting. If it weren't for Sean Payton, I could almost see, all right, Jason Garrett was once the assistant to Wade Phillips, and Wade Phillips for a while was dead man walking. Mike McCarthy is dead man walking. So if I stay at Dallas, Jerry has just given me a wink and a nod that I'll be the next head coach of the Cowboys. I would believe that if I didn't hear all these Sean Payton reports and everybody saying odds-on favorite to be the Cowboys head coach in 2023 is Sean Payton. So there's that. And then on the other side, though, if you're a Cowboys fan, and we are, the fact that Dan Quinn had all these other opportunities and said, you know what, I'm going to stay in Dallas. To me, that suggests he believes Dallas is on the cusp of something great. How do you read the decision Dan Quinn made?
Yeah, that is an interesting one to think about because most people, right, they see that head coaching job as the pinnacle versus, the or the DC. It was a step back for him after being in Atlanta. But we don't know what his actual thought process is, and you're right. Maybe he did all these interviews and was like, "These teams, if I were to take one of these jobs, I would be gone in 2 years because they're just not ready, and I would take the fall, and I would be the one moving on." So maybe he feels that there is some comfort with being in Dallas, and that maybe he would be the one to move up should they get rid of Mike McCarthy. Because from what we're hearing from Sean Payton outwardly is that he's not taking a job. And that not only are the Cowboys coming after him, but other teams are as well. So even if he does decide to come back, there will be some competition. But being a Dallas Cowboy isn't too bad, especially when you're really good at your job. But you do have to. I do get this sense of there's something more for Dan Quinn within this Cowboys organization that we don't know yet, and that if I'm Mike McCarthy, I would be maybe even more worried and more so looking over my shoulder than I was previously, knowing that, okay, why is he still here? Because he's good enough to go elsewhere.
Yes, and I, from a Jerry Jones perspective, I'm guessing, and you're right, a great point. We don't know Dan Quinn's thought process. We don't know what conversations behind closed doors Jerry and Stephen Jones have had with Dan Quinn. So there is all that. But from a Jerry Jones, Stephen Jones perspective, if you can keep Dan Quinn and let him know, dude, there's a good possibility you are the coach in waiting here. We love what you're doing. We will take care of you if you make this choice to stick around for another season, because Sean Payton probably isn't a 100% guarantee, while Jerry and Stephen Jones would probably love to have Sean Payton say yes in 2023. What if he says no? And if you've got Dan Quinn waiting here, either way, you're good. So now here's the scenarios for the upcoming season. If Mike McCarthy fails, and he probably will, you've got a guarantee. You got Dan Quinn in the building, so you promote him. And if you love Sean Payton, you might go get Sean Payton. That's all good. The flip side of that is, what if Mike McCarthy finally puts it all together? I don't think that's going to happen. But what if he does? You and I talked about season 1 with Mike McCarthy. You could give him a mulligan, on COVID. He couldn't have training camp in person. He had to do virtual Zoom. It was a new team, a new culture. Then Dak gets obliterated with that ankle injury. So, okay, you can say scratch season. So he's only really got one full season at the helm. You got us to the playoffs. You got a home field game. You got the number 3 seed in the NFC. Then you had the horrific meltdown in that playoff game against the 49ers. I would add home losses to Arizona, the Raiders, and Denver as also indicators on how you suck. But so yeah, from a Jerry Jones perspective, one of 3 things are going to happen. Either Mike McCarthy's going to get it and take us deep into the playoffs. If not, fire him. And then we got Dan Quinn, who, Shannon, you and I think is the best coach in the building. And then best of all worlds, it may be Sean Payton. So it's a win-win-win one way or another, even if it's a disappointing Mike McCarthy season coming up for the Cowboys.
And to play a little bit of devil's advocate here, I hope this isn't Jerry Jones playing the field, right? That we get to next offseason, maybe it ends similarly to this year, where the Cowboys performed overall pretty well in the regular season. If this was a different organization, maybe they don't consider getting rid of the head coach, but because it's the Dallas Cowboys, because you have a Dan Quinn and the potential to get Sean Payton, maybe they start putting feelers out towards Sean Payton. Dan Quinn gets word of this, so he starts looking for other opportunities at a head coaching position elsewhere once again, and Sean Payton falls through, and then you lose Dan Quinn because he thought you were going to end up with Sean Payton and you were going after him first rather than go with him. So whatever the moves are behind the scenes, I hope Jerry and company are aware of what could be said about what's going on, and that at the end of the day, they are making the right move for the Cowboys, even though it's still a little questionable that Mike McCarthy is still considered the head coach at this very moment.
Yeah, I think Jerry could have made a big statement by blowing out Mike and putting in Dan Quinn and saying, hey, man, we are the Cowboys. We've got all this talent. What happened last season in the playoffs and in those home games, you should have never lost to Denver, should have never lost to the Raiders. You should have never lost to that Cardinals team that was floundering at that point in the season. And certainly you should have never lost the playoff game to the Niners. I just think Jerry should have said that is unacceptable. Blow him out, go with Dan. But it is what it is. So we will hope for the best. We'll talk a lot more NFL football coming up, the AFC and NFC championship games this weekend. Shannon and I will pick them against the spread just after 8 o'clock. Coach A, Paul Alexander, our football guru, just after 7 o'clock, just after 8:30. Mike Hardball, HARDGE, your chance to win $1,000 at 7:20 and 8:20. And coming up, we will meet Dave OEHLER on Greg Popovich's birthday. And by the way, Dave OEHLER has selected an excellent Greg Popovich audio tribute that you'll be hearing coming up as well. In fact, Taro Kotani joining us on the live video feed, wishing Greg Popovich a happy birthday from Tokyo this morning. Armando Salinas joining us from Kentucky this morning. Welcome in, everybody, on the live video feed. She's Shannon Salty Sweeney. Don't forget the Salty Shakedown just after 7:30. He's Dave OEHLER, your Soundscape stylist. Thanks for hanging out with us on a Football Friday. It's the Chris Duel Show. All right, let's see here. Good morning, Beth Settle. Hello, Beth. Kenny Pennington. Haven't seen you much lately. Good to see you, Kenny. Robert Armstrong. Let's see. Robert, let's get you on the phone sometime, man. I am always open. I love great talent and great takes and great radio, and I'm all about that, man. Sam Tobias, Anthony Del Toro. Let's start from the top. It's easier for me. Steve DeRocco, the original Rock. I said Anthony Del Toro, Wes Perkins, Luisa Alanis, Hector Gomez, Clint Proctor. We got both of our Texas Tech Red Raiders in the house this morning. Yeah, Robert said, let's talk college football. We got to talk NFL today, Robert. I get it. I love college football. We'll get to it as soon as we can. All right, let me see here. I have to drink some coffee first and foremost. Sam, absolutely. Sam, you saw what they did for LaMarcus and Patty Mills. I am 100% certain there will be a video montage for DeMar DeRozan. And there should. And I mean, the Spurs are such a classy organization. So, yes, there will, without question. Sam also wishing a happy birthday to Gregory Charles Popovich, without whom the Spurs would no longer be in this town, and without whom there would not have been 6 trips to the finals and 5 NBA championships. And I know some of you cynics might go, well, he had Tim Duncan. Well, after the year 2000, Tim Duncan was a free agent, was heavily courted by Doc Rivers at Orlando, darn near went. So part of the genius of Greg Popovich is his relationships with great players like Tim, Manu, Tony. Manu could have left. Tony could have left. Pop deserves a lot of credit and a lot of love by Spurs fans. And yet so many closet, I won't even call them Spurs fans because they don't behave like Spurs fans who disparage Pop now because the Spurs are going through a youth movement. Just mind-blowing. Okay, I need to edit these spots pretty seriously here. Let's see. Need that. They are QC kinetic spots. They're there, and I need. See, I did one, so now I just need 3. Correct. So there's the second one. All right, let's see. Good morning, Joe Garcia. 10 degrees in Pueblo, Colorado this morning. Welcome in, man. That is too cold for me. That was one of my, when I was in Colorado at the Air Force Academy from 1979 to 1981. One of my big takeaways was I ain't living in snow country, man. I didn't know snow could hurt you. Blowing snow would hit me in the face and sting. It would hit me in the eyes, burn my eyes. That ain't right. Man, this one's going to be tough. I'm editing some spots and they have to come in at 60 seconds. And this one I did it at 103. So I go through the editing of the spot and you cut out your breaths, which makes it sound a little like you never take a breath. But the more important thing is getting all the information in for the sponsor / client. So people kind of get used to it on radio. It's like that. While it would sound weird if somebody spoke to you like that, it is kind of the norm for a radio spot. .55 and windy in South Korea. So we got Tokyo in the house. We've got South Korea in the house with Kenny Pennington. We've got Kentucky in the house, and we've got Pueblo, Colorado in the house. Pretty cool. So I don't know that we'll get to it time-wise, but if we can get to it by like 49, since it's 2 minutes. Okay. But more likely, if we miss it, I definitely want to do it, and then I'll sell to it, at 8:21 after the contest. Shout out to Tracy Bogert. I just got a private message from Tracy. Tracy riles some feathers. Tracy is blocked. He is banned from Facebook. So he says he's listening, but he can't comment, and he would like to comment. Thank you, Tracy. AC Gonzalez, good morning. Jason Paniagua, buenos dias, mis amigos. A todos mis amigos. Okay, high five play of the day coming. I still got to do that. Paul Alexander at 7:05. I got to check this. Jason Paniagua saying Tracy should come on YouTube. By the way, and that's a great point, when our good friends at Facebook ban us, you can find us on YouTube. All right. Here we come.
We're back. It's the Chris Duel Show with Shannon Salty Sweeney. Join in by dialing 1-800-707-9760.
Welcome. Somebody's going to get close to those really big rings on Sunday. It's the NFC Championship game on Sunday. Of course, as we've been mentioning, or at least I've been mentioning, the AFC Championship game, according to some, has already been played. That was last weekend. Bills versus Chiefs. Apparently, they are doing a little. They're going to throw the ball around at Arrowhead Stadium. Apparently on Sunday, the Bengals are going to show up, but the trophy presentation to the Chiefs is scheduled for 3.5 hours after kickoff, and it'll be beautiful. Patrick Mahomes. Just enjoy it. And I'm sure Patrick's brother will be being very obnoxious, as will his fiance. Great, Patrick. You should be so proud. Go ahead.
Did you see that she went to Twitter and was like complaining about the hate she's been receiving?
No.
Specifically,
no, I did not see that.
She said, when will I ever be allowed to do what I want to do? Like that. She said,
yeah,
I find it pretty pathetic that people care more about clicks and engagement more than someone's well-being. Let's be better. Lots of other things. But the fact that she said, I just wish I could do what I want without getting attacked every week. Well, a lot of people wish they could do whatever they want without getting any sort of pushback, but that doesn't make what you want to do okay. It's cold out there.
Right.
Unknowingly, people are being showered with champagne. They got to then walk to their car, which who knows where they parked. Like, I understand people need to not like be sending her death threats and things of that nature. Like, that is obviously uncalled for. But for your response to be like, I just want to be able to do what I want and not basically have any consequences. Well, that's not really the right answer there, sweetheart.
Yeah, and Shannon, and to reset for people who may not know that story, Patrick Mahomes' fiance, mother of his child, after a win recently from the suite, spewing champagne in the free, and that was the game against the Bills, right? Spewing champagne down on fans in the freezing. And Shannon, to me, that just reeks of such elitism and let them eat cake. Here I am up in the suite, and you underlings, the proletariat, wearing your red Chiefs gear and my soon-to-be husband's jersey. Yeah, let me do what I want to do. Let me spew champagne, spray it on you whether you want it or not, from the upper deck, from the beautiful suites where the aristocracy gets to enjoy the football game in the warmth and comfort of their suite, swilling Merlot and eating caviar. And my God, she doesn't get it. She doesn't see that there's going to be some blowback for that.
Yeah. I think she's taking Chiefs Kingdom a little too literally and believing that because Patrick is the quarterback, she's somehow the queen. No, those people aren't your peasants. Those people actually afford you the life that you are now living with one Mr. Patrick Mahomes. Do not do that to them, because right now they're turning on you, but soon they will turn on Patrick, and you do not want that.
Yeah. And I mean, when you said that quote about when am I going to be able to do what I want to do, that to me, that sounds like the NFL career of Johnny Manziel. Johnny wanted to do what he wanted to party. He wanted to not practice. He wanted to be Mr. Fun party. The video of him snorting something with $100 bill in a Vegas bathroom. Whoa, why can't Johnny do what he wants to do? Because it has consequences.
That's right.
Because you should be an adult. Because you should respect other human beings.
Yep. Sounds like a reaction from someone who's never experienced consequences before.
No. And you're so right. And what the irony here, Patrick Mahomes is otherwise such a likable guy. I mean, he is a likable guy.
Yeah.
Your little brother is a jerk, and your fiance doesn't know how to behave in public or on social media.
We need a crash course for them. Social media crash course.
How hard is it to be a good human being and to be a nice human being and to be a little humble, especially when you have all kinds of abundance and blessings in your life that other people don't have? I don't get it. All right, we're gonna tell you what. From that angst to, and by the way, happy birthday, Greg Popovich, if you're just tuning in. From that to something much more positive, especially for Cowboys fans. It is time for the High Five Play OD Day. High Five Play of the Day, appropriately sponsored by High Five. 2 locations in the Austin area. Great place to go this weekend and watch football. Shannon, you are our resident High Five expert. Tell the people what they will experience if they go to a High Five location.
Like Chris said, a great spot to check out the games this weekend. If you're into bowling, don't worry. You can watch the games while bowling. If you're into axe throwing, you can do that while watching the games. You can play some darts. You can play some arcade games. You can pretty much do it all at High Five and keep your eye on the games. And what a great way to kind of wrap up the NFL season, to do the most. Because like Coach A says, it's here and then it's gone. So enjoy it while we have it. It's going to be a great championship weekend and best spent at a High Five. 2 Austin area locations, 1 in Lakeway and 1 in Central Austin over on Anderson Lane. We kind of already touched on this a little bit, but we've got to give a huge high five here, because I don't know of anyone who thought that one Dan Quinn would stay with the Cowboys. I don't know of anyone who thought that he wouldn't take one of those. Okay. Dave Ayler's pointing to him. Congratulations, Dave. You are one of very few, because I and myself and Chris very much believed he was moving on from the Cowboys. The Cowboys would revert back to what they were the year before, and we'd be living the hell cycle that is being a Dallas Cowboys fan over and over and over again. But Chris sent me a tweet yesterday afternoon that I couldn't have been more excited to receive. It was Tom Pelissero, and I'll read it for you. It says, Dan Quinn has informed teams that he is staying with the Cowboys per sources. Yes. That was then taken by Jane Slater, and she said, huge news for Dallas. She also mentioned the players who advocated for him this year when the season ended. I couldn't be more happy about it, especially knowing that Mike McCarthy is still roaming those halls, to know that Dan Quinn is there to keep the pieces together as best he can after seeing what he did in 1 year with the Dallas Cowboys. I can't wait to see what he does in year 2. I hope he sticks around longer, but for now, I've just got to be grateful and give a high five to the man who will continue wearing the blue and silver into next season and hopefully bring in even more heat on that defensive side of the ball for the Dallas Cowboys.
It blows my mind, Shannon, and thank you, Dan Quinn, and many high fives to you, sir. Especially in when this news broke yesterday, Shannon, and what I was clinging to was the fact that Jerry Jones had yet to say Mike McCarthy is staying for 2022. He's my guy. But if you would have told me before this news broke yesterday that Dan Quinn is going to learn and know Mike McCarthy is sticking around, and he already knows the story this week, Sean Payton leaving the New Orleans Saints, and even if he takes a year off to cash in on television without nearly the work of an NFL head coach, a lot of NFL experts believe Sean Payton is the coach in waiting for the Cowboys in 2023. For Dan Quinn to know these things and still come back to the Dallas Cowboys at a much lower pay rate than a head coach can make. I mean, if he was all about the money, and granted, he didn't get the Denver Broncos job, but if he was all about the money, he could have gone somewhere. He is one of the hottest names on that coaching market this offseason, and he could have made multiple millions of dollars more than the Cowboys are paying him. So clearly he's not all about the money. Clearly either he sees a future with the Cowboys or something. What a concept this might be, loyalty. Maybe he likes the way the Joneses have treated him. Maybe he likes the way that the defensive personnel are treating him. Maybe he likes Cowboys fans. He grew up a Giants fan in New Jersey. We now know that. Maybe he likes the experience of being a Dallas Cowboy and part of the organization. As you said earlier, we don't know what his specific thought process was. I'm just thankful. And like you, I second the emotion of a high five, multiple high fives to Dan Quinn.
And another high five to Dan Quinn, because yesterday it was also announced that he was named the 2021 Assistant Coach of the Year by Pro Football Writers of America. So not only that, but we get to keep him. We get to keep the Assistant Coach of the Year. I mean, he felt all but out the door to me. It was just when was he going to come back to pack his bags? I'm so happy that he's sticking around. So once again, a high five to defensive coordinator of the Dallas Cowboys, Dan Quinn.
Dan Quinn, thank you, sir. I don't fully understand why. I'm just happy you did it. As we mentioned earlier, it is Greg Popovich's birthday today. He turns 73. And I can't underscore it enough. And if you're a Spurs fan and you know your history and you know the big picture, this team in almost all certainty would not still be in San Antonio if it were not for Greg Popovich. You wouldn't have gone to 6 finals. You wouldn't have won 5 of them. And for people who say, well, he had Tim Duncan. Well, after Tim Duncan's rookie contract in the year 2000, Doc Rivers was heavily pursuing him and darn near had him signed to the Orlando Magic to play with Grant Hill. And Greg Popovich, because of his relationship with Tim Duncan, that's one of the reasons Duncan stayed around. So Pop was a big part of that. So as we celebrate Greg Popovich this morning, we've got a little audio here for you that we think is really, really special. Dave Ehler has kept it in his archives. It goes all the way back to 1999 when the Spurs won their first championship. And that was so special for those of you who remember it. And you'll hear, by the time we get to the end, you'll hear Greg Popovich say, there is only one goal, and that's a championship. Let's go down memory lane, listen to this piece of audio, and honor the birthday today of one Greg Popovich.
There is only one goal, and that's a championship.
The San Antonio Spurs have knocked off the Denver Nuggets 4-1 in this first round series. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the Manu Ginobili Show. To the corner, Allen. His shot is off the rim, no good. This ball game is over. This series is over. The San Antonio Spurs have knocked off the Seattle Sonics and advanced to the Western Conference Finals. Manu will dribble it out, and the San Antonio Spurs are headed to the NBA Finals. Ginobili, he'll cut it inside with the left hand. Shots around the rim and good. For Manu Ginobili. Manu, that is why you do the voodoo that you do so well.
And he put some English on that ball off the glass.
The final score in Game 1, Spurs 84, Pistons 69. Beto finds Ori wide open for three left corner. Why not? Just tell me, why not? He knocks it down. The white towels being waved. The Spurs have taken a 2-0 lead in the finals. Start off.
They're just not valuing the basketball.
You make runs, you make plays, plays that they weren't making in the first two games.
Game 3 goes to the Pistons. It's Rasheed Wallace at the buzzer. That shot is good. After with 1 second to go, the Spurs need stops and they need some baskets. Right now, the Pistons are doing what they want. The Pistons have even the series at 2 games apiece. Ori, wide open 3 for Robert Ori. Shot is good. Robert Ori knocks down the 3 with 1 second to go in the third quarter. Outside to Ori. Robert for 3. Shot is good. Robert Ori with a 3-pointer. Manu's going to drive off Prince all the way in. Runner in the lane. No good. Follow is no good. Duncan. We are going to overtime. Inbounds pass will come from Robert Ori to the corner. Manu Ginobili out to Ori for 3. Left wing. Shot is good. Robert Ori knocks down the 3 with 5.8 seconds to go. Rebound tipped out front, grab by Bowen. This ball game is over. The Spurs have won Game 5 of the NBA Finals. The right wing, fakes the catch and shoot 3, drives it inside, Manu all the way. Pass is intercepted by Wallace. A costly turnover there for the Spurs. So baby, dry your eyes. Say you're all the tears you've cried. And we will have a Game 7 on Thursday night at the SBC Center. Ori up tempo, inside to Ori, left-hand hook shot, good over Ben Wallace. Out to Barry, fakes the 3, he'll penetrate. Runner in the lane is good for Brett Barry to the top. Ori, 8 seconds to shoot. Right wing Ginobili, he'll drive all the way in. Manu, slam dunk. Manu Ginobili. Off to the corner, Ori for 3. He got it. Off to the left side, Phillips fires a shot, blocked by Bowen. The Spurs defense has been stellar. This championship basketball. Tayshaun Prince, he fires a 3. That shot's so good. This game is over. The San Antonio Spurs have won their 3rd NBA World Championship. It's Fiesta time.
And Tim Duncan has solidified his place at Springfield.
The San Antonio Spurs win 81-74.
There's only one goal, and that's a championship. Championship.
I got goosebumps, Shannon, Greg Popovich, and that was from the 2005 championship run. We play it in honor of Coach Pop's birthday. And Shannon, kind of cool to hear Bill Schoening dominating all of those highlights.
I mean, two greats together in one. I love the music. All that just gives me the feels on a Friday morning. And once again, I'm sure Coach Pop, if you're listening, I'm sure he loves it so much. Send him all the. I wish he had social media because he needs to be flooded with all of the happy birthdays he can get today.
I know Pop is in his jammies this morning listening to the show, maybe even watching on Facebook Live. Happy birthday, Pop. We love you, sir. Gregory Charles Popovich, born on this day in 1949. Coming up, the coach. Can't wait to talk football with Coach A, Paul Alexander. He is our football guru. We will climb up the Himalayas, and he will bestow football enlightenment upon us. Fasten your seatbelts. Your chance to win $1,000 at 720 as well. Shannon Salty Sweeney, Dave HARDGE, and Coach Greg Popovich's birthday. It's the Chris Duel Show. Woo! That was fun. Say again? That was just so much fun. That was I forget how good that is. All right, let's see here. Wow. Paul Ihander. I forgot that name, man. Yeah, see, there was one from 99 that Pat Evans originally made. That's why in my head I thought it was 99. That's why I said that. But yeah, that's even better with Bill, since he's, now their guy. The 99 is tremendous with Jay on it, but that's also cool with Bill. Plus you get Manu and Tony that you didn't have on the 99 team. Cool. Wow. Nice. Okay, let me. Wow, he's been to some cool cities. I need one more of these. Which one didn't I get? I did one. I did two. Okay. So, all right. So this is 3. See if we can make this work. I am still editing some sound. They are radio spots for QC Kinetics. Yeah, Jason. And as you probably know, at the beginning of Spurs games, we use the voice of Bob Guthrie, who uses that quote from Jay Howard, the pride of the great Lone Star State. Jay Howard was and is a phenomenal play-by-play guy. Had he, and I know his mom is here, or at least was, in San Antonio after he left the Spurs, but Jay Howard is so good that I'm kind of surprised, and I'm sure it's a choice he made, that he didn't go become the voice of another NBA or big time college team. He chose to be a financial advisor here in San Antonio. It's great occasionally. You'll hear him fill in for Andy Everett on UTSA basketball. It's kind of a cool throwback to hear Jay Howard do UTSA basketball, because for so many years, we heard him as the voice of the Spurs. Paul Alexander coming up, always outstanding. He is radio gold. In fact, midweek next week, I'm out for a couple of days, and Paul will be doing the show here with Shannon, which should be great fun. I know we're looking far ahead to next week, but I am out next Wednesday and Thursday, and Paul is going to be in here. Do you think you're here next Wednesday and Thursday?
Thursday, the good thing is that all week I've been training Peter on the OEHLER morning show. So, and his partner's out Thursday too, and what's supposed to happen is I'll get here at my regular time, then he's going to relieve me at 5:30, so I can come down here and do the show on Thursday.
Okay, so the one thing that I'll need help with, and I'll talk to Jeremy on the Wednesday, Paul's not that well versed with StreamYard. So I think Shannon will start the StreamYard and send the links out. So it'll be the same for you, but I may need you to just come in here and show Paul, all right, here's the link. Camera should be okay. Occasionally it gets jostled by the sports grind people. So just take a look at his key. So you may need to tweak his camera. Hopefully not. Cool.
So yeah, that should be working out. But Wednesday I got this one. But I think Peter's after today, he's pretty much can handle everything on himself for the OEI morning show.
Cool.
So that'll free up some of my time.
Beautiful. Okay, so there's that. Now I need file, save as. I've done 2. This is 3. All right, now. I am actually. Yeah. I know. From
what I heard about it, the hardest part is just the prep. Everything else.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think they do sedate you. So thank God. Sedate the hell out of me, please. Yeah, you might need a dump button. Let's find my Paul Alexander. Where's my Paul Alexander photo? It's here somewhere. Let's see. So since we're doing that. See, yeah. Can we trade? Can I do yours and you do mine? All right, let's see this. There's that. We got the Paul photo. Let me, the banner is kind of in the way when we do that. So I'm going to hide the banner. Comments, get rid of the comment. Go in that direction or that direction. All right.
update on, update on what's going to be happening on Wednesday and Thursday. Just going to be here for them.
Oh, cool. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Coach A, Paul Alexander. Always outstanding. Radio gold. Here we go. Woo! Woo! I will remember. Texas T, thank you. I will remember to mute my microphone here. Microphone on mute. On high as we begin a football weekend, which will culminate in the NFC Championship game. Of course, the AFC Championship game, according to some, has already been played between the Chiefs and the Bills. We shall find out. Welcome in. It's the Chris Duel Show with Shannon Salty Sweeney, and we look forward to this every Friday that we can get him. We talk football with our go-to football guru, Coach A, Paul Alexander. And as we bring him on board, some great news for our listeners, some bonus Paul Alexander next week. I will be out on Wednesday and Thursday. So Paul, kind enough to jump in here in the studio for the full 3 hours with Shannon. Coach A, Paul Alexander, how are you doing this morning? Yeah, and we love having you, as does Shannon, as do our listeners. So it's so cool, and we do appreciate it. So much to talk about, Paul, regarding football. And I hope to get your thoughts before we're done on Coach Greg Popovich on his 73rd birthday today. But you, sir, have been commenting quite a bit on your site and your blog, radicallyrational.com, in the Sunday night game between the Chiefs and the Bills. It goes to overtime. Chiefs win. It was a wild game. And now a lot of people are saying, hey, NFL, you've got to change the overtime rules in the playoffs because Josh Allen did not get to touch the football in overtime. And based on radicallyrational.com, you are not in accord with changing the rules.
No, not necessarily. I think it's a pretty good one, particularly compared to the old one in sudden death, where just a quick field goal got it done. And it's far superior to the college system. The college overtime system just turns it into a baseball game, and we play innings. And the only thing we evaluate is red zone offense and red zone defense. That's not football. So here would be my position in a nutshell on this. No, it's true that both teams, both offenses did not touch the ball in OT. That's true. But both teams had an opportunity to do that. One team just failed to take advantage of it. And the other thing we have to understand, this is not a video game. These are human beings. In a perfect world, I will tell you this, what I would do is I would slap another 15 minutes on the clock, and we would play 15 minutes. We'd play another quarter. And if it was still tied, we'd tee it up and play another 15 minutes. The problem is while that would be the best way to settle it from a football standpoint, you would have to have in those 2 medical tents 106 body bags and toe tags. You can't do that. This is the least imperfect system. I'm not saying it's perfect, but I am saying it's superior to anything else.
They do say, Coach A, that each down is like going through a car crash. So I'm sure with each added play, that's quite a lot to go onto anyone's body. Coach A, the joke all week has been that we've already seen the AFC Championship game, that was last weekend, Chiefs versus Bills, that the winner of that was a shoo-in for the Super Bowl, given the Bengals defeating the Titans at home. What are your thoughts on this AFC Championship game? Kansas City coming into this one at Arrowhead, already favored by 7. Bengals doing all they can, practicing with the loud noise to try and recreate that environment as best they can before they head to Kansas City. Do you feel like this one's already in writing here and that the Chiefs are shooing for the Super Bowl?
Certainly, I understand why the Chiefs are favored. I think the Chiefs will likely win the game. It's astounding that they're hosting their 4th straight AFC Championship game. But do we have the attention span of fruit flies? These 2 teams played each other in Week 17, and Cincinnati won, and Joe Burrow, for the 2nd consecutive week, threw for almost 500 yards. This is not a shoe-in. This is not a certainty at all, at all.
Coach A, Paul Alexander. Paul, over the years, not only do you have a deep appreciation of the game of football on all levels, high school, college, and pro, but you've also been a keen analyst of quarterbacks. And especially so many times there'd be a quarterback coming out of college, including Vince Young, including Johnny Manziel, who a lot of people were going gaga over. And even before they went to the NFL, you gave us reasons why they might not be so successful in the NFL. And you've always been right, as I've recalled you talking quarterbacks coming into the league. Got to get your thoughts on Joe Burrow. I mean, he sure seems cool as a cucumber. He seems to have leadership qualities. And I heard a stat today, if he wins the Super Bowl, and I know that's a long way away and a lot of things would have to happen, he would be the first quarterback to win a Heisman Trophy, a national championship, and a Super Bowl. So if he ever wins it in his career, that'll be kind of a cool thing. Your thoughts on one Joe Burrow?
Yeah, he could get the trifecta, couldn't he? Here's my thing about Burrow. It was evident when he was at LSU, the year that they were perfect. A lot of people say they were the best team in college football history. I'm not saying they weren't. I would say they would be in consideration for that. But his ability to go through his progressions and execute that offense was amazing at LSU, and it's amazing now in the pros with the Bills. He has a much stronger arm than people realize, but his best trait is he is so good at slowing a game down, and that's unusual for a guy that is that young. But he knows every little nuance of that offense, and he really just so impressed me again last week because he figured out that the best way for his team to win this playoff game was to turn himself into a human piñata and just take the punishment and take care of the football. And I think he's absolutely hilarious in that he's just this baby-faced assassin, but that guy is pure KGB. I love watching him play.
Coach A, the big news today on everyone's radar is the surprising announcement that Dan Quinn, after going out to interview for nearly every open head coaching position in the NFL, has decided that he will come back and be the defensive coordinator once again for the Cowboys next season. If you're reading between the lines here, what is it that you're seeing as far as Dan Quinn's future potentially with the Cowboys moving on after next season?
Well, remember when Joe Flacco bet on himself? Okay. And Joe Flacco won when he bet on himself. Dan Quinn is betting on himself, but he is rolling the dice here. There's no question that he obviously wants to be a head coach again. There's no question in my mind that he's going to be a head coach again. But he's now smart enough to realize that not all these NFL jobs are created equal. And in fact, some of them are bad jobs. and you don't want a bad job when you're going to be in position to get a good job. I was surprised, I will tell you the truth, that Quinn made the announcement. He'd reached a second interview, I think, with 4 different teams. And because I can go conspiracy theory on you momentarily, when I first heard that Quinn said he was staying on, I thought, okay, that about 72 hours from now, Mike McCarthy's key is no longer going to fit the lock, and Dan Quinn will be the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. Kind of like what we went through, remember, with Wade Phillips and Jason Garrett. We're going to get them both in here, or we'll work it out, but that didn't happen. But now he's rolling the dice. He had a magnificent year as a defensive coordinator. He was great with the chalk. He was great with the players. He's very, very popular with players on both sides of the ball. Everybody loves his manner. Okay, but you know what? Maybe his presence there will help the Cowboys hang on to some of these free agents, but maybe not. The point is, and Chris made this point last week, I completely agree. Any objective analysis right now, you have to say that the Cowboys roster next year is not going to be as good as it was this year. So he's rolling the dice, because you could go back to the middle of the pack really quick. And whereas he's a hot commodity right now, he might not be a hot commodity a year from now. But you know what? He's Dan Quinn, and he's cool, and he's betting on himself.
And I'm so thankful that he is. Talking football with Coach A, Paul Alexander from RadicallyRational.com. And Paul, everything you just said, I agree with. And especially, if I were Dan Quinn's agent, I mean, unless you can replicate defensively what you did last year, and as you mentioned, personnel are going to change and some free agents expected to go elsewhere, you might not be as hot of a commodity next year as you are this year. And oh, by the way, Mike McCarthy will be leading that Cowboys team. I don't have a lot of confidence in Mike McCarthy, but just like you, when I first heard the Dan Quinn news, I was dancing in the streets thinking, we got us a real head coach. Mike McCarthy, pack your bags. What do you think now? We've heard so much about Sean Payton this week, and we heard Mike Florio's reporting that a deal was in place in 2019 for Jerry Jones to trade with the New Orleans Saints to bring Sean Payton to coach the Cowboys. Mickey Loomis reportedly, because the Pelicans were going to lose Anthony Davis, Mickey Loomis said, I'm not going to oversee 2 sports icons leave the city of New Orleans on my watch. So reportedly Mickey Loomis killed that deal. Do you see Sean Payton, after a year of sabbatical, after a year of raking it in as a television analyst with an itch to become a head coach again, do you see Sean Payton, whenever it happens, maybe in 2023, as the next head coach of the Dallas Cowboys?
I think that's entirely possible. First of all, I was absolutely mesmerized and transfixed by Payton's press conference the other day after he announced that he was stepping down or stepping away. And here was my take from that. There was no questioning this guy's sincerity. He is on the ropes physically and emotionally. He ain't coaching this year. That's not what this is about. On the other hand, there's no question that he's always wanted to coach the Dallas Cowboys, and there's very little question that Jerry Jones has always wanted Sean Payton to be the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. So I think that could absolutely happen. As you mentioned, I think Payton is under contract with the Saints through the 23 season. So if you didn't wait till 24, there'd have to be some compensation involved there, and it would probably be pretty significant. But I would say that the chances of Sean Payton being the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys in the not too distant future are very high.
Talking football with Coach A, Paul Alexander. It is 7:20, so we're going to go ahead and give away the keyword for Cash Your Shot to get $1,000 in your hand. We do this throughout the day on both Ticket 760 and AM 1300 The Zone. Here's that keyword.
Now your chance to win $1,000. Just enter this nationwide keyword on our website. Money. That's money. Enter it on our station website now.
take that keyword money, head over to Ticket 760 or AM1300thezone.com, or both if you want to double your chances to get $1,000 in your hand and enter the keyword. We'll have another one for you coming up in the 8 o'clock hour. Coach A, yesterday, Ben Roethlisberger officially announces his retirement. Not a surprise to a lot of people. He did it with kind of a weird video to go along with it. Seemed like he had been planning this for some time now. But the question now, after last weekend's games, Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady, both out of the playoffs, surprisingly, I think, for a lot of folks. But their futures are now in question, with Tom Brady not saying a lot of signs making people believe that maybe he will call it quits. And then Aaron Rodgers obviously still upset with the Packers. Yesterday, Denver Broncos announced that they've hired his former offensive coordinator, Nathaniel Hackett, as their new head coach. So, of course, the rumors started swirling that could be a landing spot for Rodgers. What do you see for their futures?
The first thing I thought, absolutely. Nathaniel Hackett has done a heck of a job with the Packers offense. It is not just that Rodgers is so talented. The scheme of that offense is really clean. It's really genius, particularly their passing tree. And okay, so we saw a couple of coaching moves in the NFL yesterday, and it's so predictable. You have a Bronco team that has been coached by a defensive guy in Vic Fangio, so you know they're going to take the steering wheel and jerk it and go with an offensive guy. And Hackett is that. He's got the credentials on that. And the first thing I thought was that this might in some way alter the Aaron Rodgers equation. Denver would be an attractive spot for him because that defense is the truth, and they're just maybe a quarterback away. So that would make sense. The other place I think would make sense for Rodgers would be Indianapolis. The Packers, if they were going to make a move, they might be open to that one because they want to get him out of there and out of the conference and all that kind of thing. So that was really the first thing I thought. And, then we had another coaching move with the Bears. They've been coached by Matt Nagy, who's a self-proclaimed offensive genius. That didn't really work out. So now they're going to go defense, and they bring in Eberflus, who's been the defensive coordinator for the Colts. Pretty predictable moves there both ways.
Coach A, Paul Alexander from radicallyrational.com, talking football with us. And as you guys talk about Aaron Rodgers, Coach, what a difference a year makes. Your NFC Championship game a year ago featured legendary quarterbacks Aaron Rodgers versus Tom Brady. This year, it's Matthew Stafford versus Jimmy Garoppolo. I don't think anybody saw that coming a year ago, but here we go. A very intriguing game. Obviously, Paul, the Niners have had the Rams number. They've won 7 in a row. You've got the intrigue of Jimmy Garoppolo, kind of dead man walking for the San Francisco 49ers. Seemingly whatever he does looks like he'll be with another team next year in all probability. And Matthew Stafford, a Texas boy who languished in Detroit for so long with a chance to go to the promised land. Your thoughts on this game, the NFC Championship game on Sunday?
This is absolutely fascinating. These are divisional rivals. They're going to play each other for the third time this year. As we know, the Niners have owned them. Most recently, the last time they met, the Rams jumped out to a 17-0 lead and looked like they were just going to boat race them. And the 49ers made no adjustment whatsoever. They just kept pounding the rock, and they wore them down, and they beat them. And they're capable of doing that again. I know people are going to say, hey, law averages, Rams got to win something. Okay, this has got nothing to do with the law of averages. Now, the Rams are peaking at the right time. And we are seeing the effect of all that amazing individual talent that they have brought in. They are now turning into a team. So I understand why the Rams are the betting favorite here, and they're playing at home, etc. The key to me to that game last week against the Buccaneers was, did you see the way the Rams offensive line protected Stafford against what is really an amazing front four for the Buccaneers? They didn't get a sniff. And when you keep that guy clean, I know Troy Aikman has always been in love with Matthew Stafford and his arm and stuff like that. And I've kind of gone, I don't know, man. Let me tell you, you keep him clean. Oh, my. goodness. And let's not forget, it ended up being a very exciting game. That should have been a blowout. I mean, the Rams had a chance to get a twofer right before and after halftime. Score on the last drive of the first half, then take the second half kickoff, score again. That thing is over. But instead, of course, they made some mistakes. They gave that away. But their ability to protect Stafford was amazing. If they're able to do that again against the 49ers, they will win. But if you look back at this long winning streak by the 49ers over the Rams, they have not been able to do that. I mean, the Niners have been all over Stafford. So this comes down to pass rush on both sides of the ball as far as I'm concerned.
Going to be an absolutely fascinating game, as you mentioned. Coach A, Paul Alexander of RadicallyRational.com. Finally, Paul, I do want to get your thoughts on Coach Greg Popovich on this, his 73rd birthday. Our listeners and viewers may or may not know you, sir, a one-time San Antonio Spurs television play-by-play man. You've covered the Spurs since the get-go. Your thoughts on the coach and the man, Greg Popovich?
He's a fascinating man. He's one of the 5 most interesting people that I've ever had the pleasure of meeting. And he also is one of the 5 best people that's the best at what that person does that I have ever met. Yes, I do think that Greg Popovich is the best head coach in NBA history. And yes, I'm aware of Red Auerbach. I've heard about him, but I do feel that way. Pop is such a multifaceted guy. Yes, he can be really crusty. I consider myself lucky that I was never really at the business end of that gun for whatever reason, for which I'm very grateful. He's a very, very smart man. He is a deeply caring man. It may not always show, but he does all these things philanthropically behind the scenes that we're not even aware of. So nothing but congratulations and off the charts respect.
Coach A, Paul Alexander of RadicallyRational.com. Once again, for our listeners and viewers, bonus days of Paul Alexander joining Shannon next Wednesday and Thursday on this show, as I'll be out for a couple of days. And Paul, we recommend, and I recommend highly, that people daily go check out your website, RadicallyRational.com, not just for the through the roof sports takes, but takes on life, culture, everything that matters for people who have yet to go sample RadicallyRational.com. What will they find there?
Well, all we want to do is bring facts back into fashion. We want to make simple sanity sexy again. And we want to say this: crazy ain't cool. There's nothing cool about crazy. And I am done with crazy. So we try to make that point, but we also try to entertain you and take ourselves not too seriously, for sure. So this morning, for example, the news blog is already up. The sports blog is already up. The daily video is already up. And we're shooting a new podcast this afternoon. So I appreciate it when people check us out. And we want to hear from you. You know, we're not looking for some amen corner, everybody being lockstep. Let us know. Let me know what you think.
Paul, you're like those TV commercials for the Army back in the early 80s. Paul Alexander does more before 6 a.m. than most people do all day. I don't know where you get the energy, man, but you're prolific at what you put out there.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. I know you and I have both had trouble with insomnia over the years, so that may explain a little bit on my part.
All right. Do yourself a favor. Get over there and take a look at RadicallyRational.com each and every day. All kinds of great content that you're going to love. Paul Alexander, we look forward to next week, man. Thanks for taking the time. Enjoy your football weekend.
Chris, Shannon, thank you so much. Looking forward to it. And just on my way out the door, I'm getting the feeling that this is it for Tom Brady.
Whoa. And that is an educated assessment from Paul Alexander, who knows his football. Thank you so much, sir. Coach A, Paul Alexander, RadicallyRational.com. Coming up, Shannon's Salty Shakedown for a Friday, January 28th. We got sports histories and sports birthdays. Greg Popovich, not the only sports birthday. He's just the most important sports birthday today. Dave Ehler making the show go. We are with you till 9. Thanks for hanging out with us on the Chris Duel Show. John Williams, that would be an excellent idea for Paul, actually. Dale Hansen and Paul Alexander together would be a spectacular conversation. We might have to, now that he's retiring and might have more time, I'd love to get Dale Hansen on this show as well. He's one of my all-time favorites. I mentioned Don Harris yesterday, and yesterday was Don Harris's birthday. Dale Hansen and Don Harris are two guys. And Paul, don't just report the sports. Don't just give me X's and O's. Tell me how you feel about what matters to you in life, in and beyond sports. And, we live in an era now where that may not be, I mean, you will get blowback. If you state an opinion on life, and here, this will take us to Greg Popovich. You state an opinion on life and your opinion on how things should be in the world and in this country in the modern day, and you will certainly get blowback. By the way, I see Don Haas Holding in here. This weekend is his big championship round robin match. In fact, let me bring in our Bryn Forbes Don Haas Holding t-shirt this morning. Don Haas Holding, we are thinking about you, man. There's the there is Haas Holding. Haas, if you get a chance, and I know it's the Woodlawn Gym, and give me the info on your match championship belt defense this weekend, and I'll throw that out there on the air as well. We'll put that there. Thank you, Bryn Forbes. Okay. Yeah, I did see that. Yeah, he's out.
So if you want to move that Popovich thing
it's a great idea. Yeah, and because A, it gives us even more separation since we played it once, and B, that'll be a good place for it. And in fact, maybe even maybe even near the end of the segment again to just kind of punctuate the whole morning. Yeah, I like that a lot.
And Paul has been getting paid for his appearances, right?
Yes and no. It takes forever for those checks to arrive, which is driving me crazy. Because he asks me about it. It's like it takes like 2 to 3 months for a check after. Yeah, which is I wrote them again this week because here I am asking him to come back, and he was not yet paid for December 20th. Yeah, yeah. So maybe I'll get Brian to intervene on that. But it's so weird. It's like when I did that, I used to fill in for like Taylor before this. It was the same thing. It would take for accounting takes forever to process those invoices. True. Yeah. Yeah. No. I wish it were quicker. Okay. Where is my sports history? There it is. What is up, Dean Stone? Wes Perkins wants me to look at and you to look at his overtime idea. I glanced at it. Let's take a look. Overtime should be a 10-minute quarter. Both teams get one possession no matter what. If after these possessions one team scores and the other does not, that's the ball game. After 10 minutes, if it's still tied, PKs begin. Kickers go out by themselves to kick from 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, 65 until somebody misses. Interesting. Okay, here's I got Haas holding, and we'll get to that in a sec. I got to think about that, Wes. I got to digest that. Do we want to put it in the hands of the kickers? Maybe. Okay, defend his title Saturday at Woodlawn Gym against one-man Mike Dell. It'll be the toughest match of my life. We are part of the Teddy Long WWE Hall of Fame Classic Tag Team. Doors open at 5 for meet and greet and photos. 2 free tickets if somebody sends him a message. Okay, first of all, we will, and I'll make that announcement right here, Haas, but I want the people here on Facebook Live who are very engaged, obviously, and, cool. We appreciate your loyalty to the show and being viewers. So you're the first people with that information. If somebody really wants to go and get the free tickets, go get them from Haas Holding. But Haas, as we come back here on the radio, I'm going to mention that. Do I have a Haas Holding photo here and ready to go? I may not, but I thought from our interview. Yeah, shoot. I don't have one ready to go, Haas. I thought I did. I got John Madden, but I don't have Haas Holding. I got Derek Fox. I got Dylan Emery. I got Jeff Traylor. I got Mark Vandermeer. I got Cleto Rodriguez. I got Bill Schoening. I got Taylor Estes. I got the sound of the Spurs.
Let's get back to the Chris Duel Show with Shannon Salty Sweeney. Find Chris and Salty on Twitter at Chris Duel and at Shannon B. Sweeney.
Welcome in. Coming up, Shannon's Salty Shakedown. Just after 8 o'clock, we will make our NFL hashtag or / NFC and AFC championship game predictions against the spread. And your chance again to win $1,000 at 820. That's a beautiful thing. Be ready for that. Before we dive into Shannon's Salty Shakedown, sports history and sports birthdays, I want to pass this along. We've had him on the show a couple times. We love him, and I love his story. Professional wrestler Haas Holding has a title defense. And what's great about his story, and I think it speaks to all of us when we have a dream, he always wanted to be a professional wrestler. He was in his late 50s. He was overweight and had never pursued his dream. So he said, darn it, I'm going to do it. And he hired a personal trainer, got in great shape, became a professional wrestler within the last year. And then he won this championship, this round robin championship tournament. So he's going to defend that title on Saturday night at the historic Woodlawn Gym. It's the pound-for-pound title. He's going against a wrestler named One Man Mike Dell. He says it'll be the toughest match of his life. It is part of the Teddy Long WWE Hall of Fame Tag Team Classic. So doors open at 5 o'clock at the Woodlawn Gym in San Antonio on Saturday night. If you like wrestling, and they're very fan friendly, they meet the fans. If you bring the kids, it's fun. And Haas Holding says he's got 2 free tickets for the first person who messages him who wants the tickets and will go to the match. He is on Facebook at Don Haas Holding. Don Haas Holding. And he says he's giving those tickets away, which is real cool. He's a great guy. We love him. He's a friend of the show, a friend of ours, and we wish him well, and we'll pass along on Monday how he did. Hope he defends his title well. Go Haas. I am, and we are Team Haas on this show. Coming up, Shannon's Salty Shakedown for the weekend. But first, sports birthdays and this day in sports history. On this should be a sports birthday. On this day in 1960, the NFL announced 2 brand new expansion franchises. One would come online in 1961 that would be called the Minnesota Vikings. The other would come online later that year in 1960. They would be called the Dallas Cowboys. So you could say today is the Dallas Cowboys birthday. Happy birthday to the Dallas Cowboys. On this day in 1969, the NFL draft, the number 1 pick in the NFL draft by the Buffalo Bills, running back out of USC, Orenthal James Simpson. O.J. Simpson, great NFL career. It was after that NFL career, things kind of went sideways.
I'm just saying.
Thank you, Juice. Nice, Dave Ehler. This day in 1990, it was Super Bowl 24 in the Louisiana Superdome. San Francisco 49ers beat down John Elway and the Denver Broncos 55-10. Joe Montana was your MVP. Speaking of Cowboys, finally, this day in 1996, Super Bowl 30, Sun Devil Stadium, Tempe, Arizona. The Dallas Cowboys beat Dave Ehler's Pittsburgh Steelers 27-17. Larry Brown, the defensive back, is your most valuable player because Neil O'Donnell threw 2 touchdown one was returned for a touchdown, threw 2 interceptions right between the 2 and the 4. He hit Larry Brown perfectly on 2 of those interceptions. Without those, the Cowboys lose. And oh, by the way, just remember the day, January 28th, 1996. Cowboys have not sniffed a Super Bowl or an NFC championship ever since. That's your sports history. How about some sports birthdays? Born on this day in 1977, quarterback, Minnesota Vikings, Dante Culpepper, darn near led the Vikings at the time owned by Red McCombs to the Super Bowl. They had the best record in the NFC. They were playing in the Metrodome against the Atlanta Falcons, and the reliable kicker for the Vikings, who did not miss all season, missed a field goal. His name escapes me at the moment. I'm sure some of you know who it is. With that, had he not missed, Red McCombs takes the Vikings to the Super Bowl. Darn it. Also born on this day in 1984, NBA player, Sixers and other teams, Andre Iguodala. But of course, we've been saying it all day. Your marquee sports birthday. God love him. God bless him. Happy birthday. As Shannon says, we hope he's listening to the show this morning, eating ice cream in his underoos. Coach Greg Popovich of the San Antonio Spurs, born on this day in 1949 in East Chicago, Indiana. We love you, Coach Pop. Please don't ever retire. That's your sports birthday, your sports history. How about it's time, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends, Romans, countrymen, farm animals, pole assassins, and monkeys. It's your weekend Salty Shakedown.
All right, Chris, the reigning NBA champions, the Milwaukee Bucks, they're not having the best go so far this season. Their record right now sits at 30-20. That does put them in the playoffs. They are currently 6th in the East, but they're not as dominant, right? They got rid of PJ Tucker. They've got Grayson Allen now, who's in the news for the wrong reasons, as per usual. But they still have Giannis, and he's still very much the star of that team. But I wanted to talk to you about his recent post-game presser. Their last game on Wednesday night was a loss to the Cleveland Cavaliers, 115-99. And Giannis, being the star he is, appears at most press conferences, and he walked in, not a plate for dinner, but a bucket of chicken wings that he carried into the press conference. He's licking his fingers as he sits down at the table. He opens the bucket and starts eating chicken. He starts getting asked questions as well, because that's what people are there to do. He is there to answer them. And he's asked about the game, and he simply said, "We suck. We played bad." Then he continued eating chicken. Now, Giannis, clearly a lovable athlete, lovable character, lovable guy, a great player. But I think if this was somebody else, if this was a guy who people see as maybe standoffish, or, maybe like a LeBron James, where we get a little tired of his "I'm the king" attitude, if he were to walk into a post-game press conference after a loss to a team you probably should have beaten, with a bucket of chicken that you then opened and started devouring while taking questions from the media, I think it might be a different story. But because it's Giannis, it's a lovable and cute moment that has gone viral with over 2 million views now of the video of him fielding this question whilst eating chicken. So I wanted to get your take on it. And should this maybe become Giannis's thing? Maybe that's the game we start playing. What will Giannis eat during today's post-game presser?
Well, my first question is, does he have a sponsorship with that chicken company? But you make a great point. Almost any other player can't pull that off. And certainly LeBron James, certainly a James Harden or a Kyrie Irving or a Kevin Durant, most other players in the league, because they're not as lovable as Giannis is, probably can't pull it off. But I think it's cool. And I'll bet you there are food companies out there clamoring to sponsor some post-game Giannis snacks.
Yeah.
It's funny. It's a cool thing.
Yeah, because it's Giannis, I'm cool with it. It's reminiscent of there's a restaurant in Milwaukee that, he didn't realize how big of a superstar he was. And they're like, "Oh, you can eat for free here anytime." And then also, of course, after winning the championship, he takes the trophy through the drive-thru with him at Chick-fil-A to order 50 chicken nuggets. Again, if he doesn't have a chicken sponsor at this point, y'all are late to the party. But again, I'd love to play what does Giannis eat in his post-game presser. Most guys leave that stuff at the door, right? You go to your presser, a couple minutes, come back out, continue eating. But he needed that chicken after that loss. As he said, we suck and we played bad. All right, Chris, my second story today, Big Brother, Celebrity Big Brother specifically, released their latest cast. It's not a show that I watch. It's a show I am familiar with because athletes have previously, like Ricky Williams, have been a part of it. So I've tuned in here and there, but it's not necessarily a game show that I understand. I don't really get how it works, but I know you are a fan and an avid watcher of the show. So I want to get your take on this before it gets underway. It does not start airing. I'm not sure the official, let's see, February 2nd. So that's next Tuesday is when it'll get underway. Athletes, part of the house this year, Lamar Odom, which is interesting. He's obviously no stranger to reality television, as he was a part of Keeping Up with the Kardashians for some time, as well as his own series that he had with Khloe. A former UFC champion, Misha Cupcake Tate, and a former, or just as Olympic figure skater, Maria Nagasu. I guess they maybe should put former, since the Winter Olympics are coming up, and since she's on Big Brother, that to me screams I'm not in the Olympics, but that's just me. A personal favorite of mine from the realm of sports, Chris Kirkpatrick, of course, a member of NSYNC, so that's got to be my go-to that I root for. Some other notable names, Todd Bridges of Different Strokes, Todrick Hall, who's become a very popular choreographer, Chris Kattan of SNL, a great comedian. I love the Christmas sketch with him and Jimmy Fallon, where they're just playing that silly little song over and over again. And Carson Kressley of Queer Eye, super popular television show, and a Real Housewife member. So of these celebrities that are currently on the roster here, do any of them stand out to you? And is there a particular advantage that a former or current athlete might have when entering this competition?
The biggest skill you can have in Big Brother is be a backstabber. You have to be, you smile in people's face, and you scheme around them. You form secret alliances, and right when someone you think they are safe with you, you conspire to blow them out. I'm a huge fan of the show. I have been since season 1. It's kind of embarrassing. I'm lucky my wife doesn't disown me. I've been such a freak sometimes in the summer, Shannon. I have bought the live video feed, which is 24/7, like multiple cameras that I would just stay up at. This is when I didn't work the morning show, when I had an afternoon show. I would stay up like 3 a.m. drinking beer, just watching the live video feed, eating Doritos. Of those that you mentioned, I mean, Lamar Odom, a train wreck always. I do like Chris Kattan. Maybe Chris Kirkpatrick. You can use those skills to do something special, but it's going to be fun, and I like that you've got an in-sync connection. It might get you engaged in the show a little bit.
Yeah, well, it's you. I know it's something you enjoy, so I'm going to do my best to keep up with it. But as I said, it starts on the 2nd, and then it ends on the 23rd. I guess they just have episodes every single day. I'm not exactly sure how that works out. I guess you can only keep celebrities like in a small confined space together for so long. But that gets underway for you next week. So when you come back, we'll have to get a review of the first couple episodes there, yes. Chris. Finally, today is a big day, Chris. Today, a new Pokemon game has been released on the popular platform Nintendo Switch. It's all the rage. It was a surprise last night. They ended up releasing the game to those who pre-ordered early, allowing them an extra hour to play ahead of what would have just been a regular midnight release. It's not a game that I am super familiar with, but obviously of the generation that grew up with Pokemon, I get the draw. It has a very much of a Harry Potter release feel, right? Where you used to go and wait at the bookstore for hours to be the first one to read through all of those pages. But Chris, as I'm going to GameStop last night to get the stamp on the receipt at 8 o'clock, so that at 11 o'clock you could come back and actually pick up the game 3 hours later, and I'm seeing a small line of people, I'm realizing that we don't really have those moments anymore. Like, I've never gone to stand in line at a box office for a specific game or for a specific concert. Because I wasn't a reader, I was never those kids that waited outside of a bookstore for the next Harry Potter or Twilight book to be released. And, with everything being digital, that's where it is these days. And I think there's something to be said about a physical copy of something and the excitement, almost like Christmas morning, of physically going somewhere and securing that item, whatever it may be. Now, I am, of course, a product of the internet era. So I defer to you and Dave. Growing up, or even recently, have you ever done something? You camp out overnight, you get ready for whether it be something physical or sports related. Is there something that you did that you were like, midnight, this is me, this is what I've been waiting for? You do it with friends, you do it with family, maybe you do it solo. Do you have a memory that maybe I can learn a thing or two from?
I got 2, and then we'll go to Dave. 1979 Eastern Conference Championship Series. Yes, the Spurs were in the Eastern Conference. Spurs versus the Washington Bullets. I camped out at the Hemisphere Arena all night for tickets that went on sale at like 8 a.m. We barbecued, we drank beer, we were rowdy. And then in Los Angeles, when the second Star Wars ever came out, The Empire Strikes Back, I was in a long line all night for hours at the Cinerama Dome Theater on Sunset Boulevard to see that. Those are the 2 memories I have of camping out and being in a long line overnight. Dave Ehler, how about you?
1986 or 87, camped out for Boston tickets in the St. Louis Arena. Me and my friends had 2 cars, slept in the cars.
Nice.
With about probably 1,000 other people sitting on the parking lot. And it was the same way. It was basically a big party all night. Nobody slept.
Was the Boston concert worth it?
Yeah, they were pretty good.
The only
so
camping.
Shannon, you've never been in a crazy long line for hours and hours and hours?
No, the only camping I've ever done is on my computer at the Best Buy website, refreshing the page for Xbox drops. And yes, I did. I did collect.
You have
one.
to remember though. But you have to remember, when me and Chris were doing it, there was no internet. So
well,
you
right.
Buy tickets online.
That experience is not
all
available
was
to me.
Ticketmaster. Yeah, all he had was Ticketmaster. You call on the phone, and it was always busy.
Yes.
Exactly.
So you had to keep calling back. It was like it was trying to win tickets on the radio.
Well, so last night I got a little taste of being in a line and waiting for that drop, for that physical copy, and it was an exciting time. So to all those who are enjoying the new Pokemon game, congratulations. I hope you do enjoy it. But that's it. That's today's Salty Shakedown.
Fantastic Salty Shakedown as always. Jason Paniagua said he stood in line at Academy to get his Spurs championship shirts in 99, 03, 05, and 07. That's an experience probably a lot of people have as well. All right, Shannon and I look into the crystal ball. We will make our fearless picks against the spread for the AFC and NFC championship games. That and a whole lot more. Thanks for hanging out on the Chris Duel Show. That was a memory a lot of people have. All right, I'm going to get some ice for the next segment. Ice, ice, baby. Woo! Back in a sec. Give you some, well, I could tell stories of people camping out for shoes. Camping out for shoes? I never heard of that.
I just texted one of my friends that one of the guys that I swapped out with. I can see if he remembered it.
That's funny.
See if I hear back from him. I guess it had to be because I was still in high school, so I guess it was 87. I think it was for the third stage where they put out third stage. So I guess it was 87.
Wow, cool.
God.
All right. Sam Tobias, what up? All right. Don, if you're here, have a great weekend, a great match, a great defense of your title. Let's see here. Chiefs by 7. Rams by 3.5. Here we come.
This is the Chris Duel Show.
You know the day destroys the night. Night divides the day.
Oh, gotta mute this for our lovely friends at Facebook. Here we come.
Now, Chris Duel.
Glory, glory, hallelujah. Praise be to the football gods on high for showering us with blessings. Thank you, football gods, for Dan Quinn. Thank you, football gods, for the NFC Championship game this weekend. Thank you, football gods, for the AFC Championship game this weekend. But football gods, what's the deal with this Mike McCarthy thing? You could have been undefeated. We could have been thanking you for a new Cowboys head coach this morning, but it didn't happen. All right. Chris Duel Show with Shannon Salty Sweeney. We also thank the basketball gods and a living basketball god who walks among us. His name, Gregory Charles Popovich.
Hell, I don't know.
Shannon and I are assuming that he's listening to the show this morning at home in his underoos, drinking some hot cocoa and getting ready to open birthday gifts. Spurs in action tonight, by the way, against the Chicago Bulls. And DeMar DeRozan, who yesterday, Shannon, and I know the way the NBA All-Star game works, they do a draft, yada, 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 but the first team players were named yesterday to the Eastern and Western conferences of the NBA for the All-Star team. First teamer, and a congratulations and a high five. And I'm sure the Spurs will honor him tonight as he returns with a video tribute. DeMar DeRozan. Spurs had a first team All-Star player on their team each of the last 3 seasons, but he didn't. Yeah, he was great, but he just wasn't a first team All-Star player, but he sure became one this year. That's pretty amazing what he's doing in Chicago.
Yeah. And to think, last year he was on the cusp. A lot of people considered him a snub from that All-Star roster, but clearly this year he left no doubt in the voters' minds.
Yeah, in Toronto, when he was with the Raptors, he was a 4-time All-Star. I do believe this is the first time that he's named a first teamer, which is just tremendous for him. And, by all accounts, DeMar DeRozan, a great, great guy. I'm happy for him. To make me love him, and many of us love him even more. He's been very public about his bouts with depression. And he and Kevin Love, a few years ago, went public when I think they do a great service for a lot of other people who might be dealing with mental health issues to realize, hey, this happens. You can take care of it. You can get help, and you can still do what you do in life at a very, very high level and have still a very, very amazing life. And I think DeMar DeRozan is certainly a leader in putting that message out there, which takes some courage. So I'm a fan. I wish his Spur career would have worked out differently, but it didn't. And I know Pop loves him and the Spurs love him, and it'll be interesting and fun to hear his tribute tonight. Bill Schoening, of course, with the call tonight. Spurs and the Bulls, AT&T Center, 7:40 tip tonight. Spurs pregame at 7, coming out of 1200 WOAI in San Antonio and across the Spurs radio network. But Shannon, that's basketball. You and I have some football business to attend to here, don't we?
I do believe so. I do believe it is championship weekend.
Dave Ayler right there with the music. Shannon and I make our fearless predictions against the spread. Anybody can pick winners, but we pick against the spread just to even further our public humiliation when things go bad. Shannon, I guess we'll do these in order of their occurrence. Your Sunday menu for football: Game 1 at 2 o'clock on CBS, Game 2 at 5:30 on Fox. So this kind of if these go the way people say they're going to go, this is a good order. Your appetizer for the morning or for the day, it's afternoon. Bengals Chiefs at 2, and then your main course, your entree, plus your dessert, Rams 49ers, which most people think will be a better football game. But Shannon, Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs, his obnoxious brother and his champagne spewing fiance, they broke your heart and the hearts of Bills Mafia on Sunday night. Arrowhead Stadium, 2 o'clock, the 12-5 Chiefs wanting to punch their ticket to a third straight Super Bowl. Joe Burrow and the Bengals come to town. Chiefs are currently a 7-point favorite. How do you see this game?
Chris, it kind of pains me to say it because at this point I would love the storyline of Joe Burrow and the Bengals, who were bottom of the barrel just seasons ago, to take one over the Kansas City Chiefs, as they did earlier in the season, specifically to shut up Jackson Mahomes and Brittany Matthews, fiance of Patrick Mahomes, who, after spraying champagne all over already cold Kansas City Chiefs fans last weekend, received a little bit of pushback on the internet and has since released a statement saying, "I just wish I could do what I want without getting attacked every week." I'm ready for her football season to end. However, I do believe it will continue because the Chiefs are that good. Patrick Mahomes is that good, not to mention every other human being they have around them on that roster. Tyrann Mathieu got knocked out of last weekend's game. Their defense still held it together. He is back in practice, so the defense is that much stronger. The line here is -7 in favor of the Chiefs. It opened at -6.5. Either way, I still think I've got to take the Chiefs. I don't think they're going to allow the game to be as close as it was last week. And like I said, I just don't think the Bengals are a better team than the Bills. So I've got to use my simple math here and go ahead and take the Kansas City Chiefs at -7.
Shannon Salty Sweeney's pick is in. It is the Chiefs. That 7-point spread is safe. She'll lay the 7 points and let Joe Burrow and the Bengals have it. I've been saying all week, and I've said throughout the playoffs, I got a good feeling about Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals. It's kind of a gut feeling. There's a part of me that wants to be very bold and brave here and pick the Bengals and take Shannon's 7 points that the Chiefs are handing out. But I got to be honest. I make some of these picks, and, it's like I picked the 49ers over the Cowboys because I had a bad feeling about the Cowboys, and I hoped that the Cowboys would, still win that game and that my pick might still be accurate because the Cowboys were laying points against the 49ers. I don't feel the same conviction in this game. I mean, my God, after seeing Chiefs versus Bills and seeing the Chiefs offense look unstoppable, and going back to what Shannon and Paul Alexander talked about a week ago, and we saw it in the Titans game, as Paul just said to us an hour ago, Joe Burrow was a human piñata, getting hit again and again, getting sacked left and right. The Bengals give up so many sacks, and defensively they give up a lot of points. So I am with Shannon on this one. I want to be wrong. I want the Bengals. I'm going to be watching that game on Sunday, pulling for the Bengals. I want them to win. But if I'm going to be honest, based on all I know, I think the Chiefs will win by more than 7 points. I think the Chiefs will win this one by about 15, 20 points, actually. I hope I'm wrong, but like Shannon, we are in accord. I am taking the Kansas City Chiefs, laying the 7 points to the Bengals. Please, Joe Burrow and the Bengals, prove me wrong, prove Brady Quinn wrong, who said the AFC Championship was really played last week between the Bills and the Chiefs. Shannon, you and I are in accord. We're picking the Chiefs. That moves us to 5:30 p.m. on Sunday night on Fox, which means we get Troy Aikman and Joe Buck on the call from SoFi Stadium in Inglewood, California. Niners have won 7 in a row against the Rams. Niners are on a roll. They beat the Rams last game of the year. They on the road. They beat the Cowboys on the road in the first round. They beat the Packers on the road at Lambeau in the next round. Here it is, the NFC Championship game. Rams are a 3.5-point favorite. Shannon, your thoughts on this NFC Championship game?
You mentioned that record of the 49ers over the Rams. 2 of those wins obviously coming from this season alone. We know it's hard to beat a team 3 times, but with 3.5 points, I think I'm going to take the 49ers at plus 3.5. I still expect the Rams to win it, probably by a field goal, but because these games have been given to the 49ers as of late, I think it's going to have to be a close one for the Rams that they're going to have to claw their way out of. But I do believe that for the second year in a row, for the second time ever, the host site of the Super Bowl will contain the normal team that sees it every other week when they play at home, even though I think Rams may still be settling into that SoFi Stadium. And also, we've been talking this week about the ticket sales, and all signs point to a ton of 49ers fans taking up those tickets. I think it'll be more of a neutral site than a Rams home field advantage. So that too, I think is, goes back into the 49ers favor. But with how beat up Jimmy G is and how good the Rams have been playing as of late, I've got to think they can squeak this one out. But as I said, I think it'll be close. So I'm going to take the 49ers plus 3.5.
That is a bold pick. It's bold, yet if you believe what we've seen, if you believe your eyes and what those 49ers have done each of the last 3 weeks, then, maybe it's not so bold. This comes down, I think, Shannon, you mentioned Jimmy Garoppolo. Both of these quarterbacks can giveth and taketh away. When both of these quarterbacks are not turning the ball over, and for Garoppolo doesn't have to win the game. He just has to not turn it over, let that running game happen. Hopefully, if you're a 49er, Deebo Samuel, who is like lightning in a bottle, give him the ball a few times, hand it off to him, throw it to him, get him in space. He can probably make things happen. But this comes down to, I think in a big way, Matthew Stafford. As Paul Alexander told us an hour ago, if he gets protection, man, the dude can sling that football. And Cooper Kupp, oh my God, what a I read this too. Cooper Kupp could be the first NFL player to have over 100 yards receiving in 3 consecutive playoff games. Obviously, he's the go-to guy for Matthew Stafford. Luckily, I'm going to differ with you on the pick, so this will be fun. We'll see who gets the pick right. I'm going to go Rams. Eventually, the worm has to turn. Can the Niners win on the road again this week? Can they win an 8th time in a row over the Rams? Can the 49ers? I'm going to bet they can't. I'm going to bet that Matthew Stafford and this Rams team has found their niche and are on the roll that they need to be in SoFi Stadium. So I'm going to go with the Rams. I'm going to lay the 3.5 points. Plus, Shannon, I feel better about making this pick because you know me. For the last 40 years plus since the catch, I hate the 49ers. So I'm picking the Rams, giving away the 3.5 points. I go Rams on this. So Shannon, to recap, what do we got going in these picks?
First game on deck on Sunday, Bengals versus the Chiefs. Both Chris and I taking the Chiefs at -7. And then the early evening game, 5:30 kickoff between the 49ers and the Rams at SoFi Stadium. I'm taking the 49ers at plus 3.5, and Chris taking the Rams at -3.5.
There you have it. Those are your picks. Write them down. Bet the house. If you're not too attached to your house, you can bet your house on our picks. Tell you what, though, quick break right now, a quick timeout because it's 8:20. We do this all day long from 7:20 to 6:20 at night on the 20s. Somebody wins $1,000 every hour. It may as well be you. Here comes the keyword.
Now your chance to win $1,000. Just enter this nationwide keyword on our website. Green. That's green. Enter it on our station website now.
Green, the color of the Green Bay Packers, but they're not here anymore. So that has nothing to do with the football games. But you take that keyword green. We suggest take it to both websites. Double your chances to win. AM1300thezone.com and ticket760.com. And somebody's going to win $1,000. It may as well be you. Shannon, looking at some of the other big stories from the world of sports, and we'll stick with the NFL for a moment. Well, actually, it's not NFL. It's USFL, a longtime NFL coach, a Super Bowl champion as a player with the Chicago Bears, and a you're always a USC Trojan. If you're once a Trojan or a Longhorn, you're always a Trojan or a Longhorn. The Michigan Panthers of the USFL have now a head coach. Who is that dude, and how do you feel about it?
Yeah, head coach for the Michigan Panthers has been named, and it is one Jeff Fisher. Most recently with the Los Angeles Rams. I will never forget when they were on Hard Knocks, and he called up Nick Foles, who was at the time on that roster, and he told them that he was being released, that he wished him the best of luck, that he's a great guy. He will always speak highly of him, but that it just wasn't his time. Of course, cut to very shortly thereafter, Nick Foles leads the Philadelphia Eagles to a Super Bowl, and he is an MVP and now has a statue of himself over on the East Coast. Of the many mistakes that Jeff Fisher has made in his career, I'd say that one is pretty high up there. You mentioned Texas. Obviously, people from Texas feel like he ruined Vince Young's NFL career. Those two really butted heads when he was the head coach of the Tennessee Titans. So it'll be interesting to see, new USFL. We'll see if the league even lasts, and if the league lasts, if Jeff Fisher lasts, and if he kind of changed his way, right? Because he's not known as a player's coach. He isn't buddy. He wants it to be his way or the highway. And we'll see if he's maybe calmed down a bit since he's been out of it for a couple of years now.
Yeah, you think about Jeff Fisher, and I always liked him because he was a USC guy, and he was kind of a cool cat coming out of the Chicago Bears, where he was in that secondary for the '85 Bears and won a Super Bowl. But you're right, you look at his career, and while he did have some success with the Tennessee Titans, did go to that Super Bowl that they lost by one stretch of the ball at the end of the LA Rams and Dick Vermeil and Kurt Warner. But you're right, and by all accounts, he did not want Vince Young. Ownership, Bud Adams wanted Vince Young, so he kind of, a lot of people believe, because he did not embrace Vince Young, did not make that offense Vince Young friendly early, that it impacted Vince Young's development at quarterback. Although a lot of people forget Vince Young had a pretty darn good winning percentage with the Tennessee Titans. But yeah, then you mentioned the Nick Foles thing. Then he comes to Los Angeles, and think about, if you're Jeff Fisher, you kind of had some of those pieces in place. You could have probably done, if you were a visionary, all the things that your replacement, Sean McVay, has done. But it was kind of, it was an ugly franchise, and it was being run ugly under Jeff Fisher in its early days at the Coliseum when the Rams returned from St. Louis back to Los Angeles. So kind of a hope, I guess, for redemption for Jeff Fisher, but the career's been a little bit pathetic up until now.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see, obviously the quarterback relationship has been a huge part of his story as a head coach, who he'll end up coaching there. And again, I just going back to that Hard Knocks, Jared Goff, who's obviously now with the Detroit Lions, when he was playing under Jeff Fisher, he was not fantastic. And a lot of people were like, well, he doesn't even know which side the sun rises and sets on. So maybe that's part of it. Maybe that makes it hard to throw a football around. But then Sean McVay steps in, and look what he was able to do with a Jared Goff. And obviously we see what he's doing now with Matthew Stafford. So that to me felt more of like maybe it was less of a Jared Goff issue and more of a Jeff Fisher issue. Like I said, I feel like we've seen photos of him like out there fly fishing and hanging out with his son, who's also a coach So I don't know. Maybe this is what he needs to get back into things. Maybe this has humbled him a little bit.
Yeah, lots more NFL to talk about. We talked about it a lot early in the show. Dan Quinn choosing to stay with the Cowboys as defensive coordinator, Mike McCarthy being retained by the Cowboys as head coach. Both of those stories broke yesterday. We'll revisit those. We'll talk about the other big stories in the world of sports, and we will pay tribute to Coach Greg Popovich before it's all said and done on this Greg Popovich's 73rd birthday. A happy birthday to Coach Pop. Dave Ayler is your Soundscape stylist. She is Shannon Salty Sweeney. We're with you till 9. Thanks for hanging out with us on the Chris Duel Show. Yeah, Louisa, apparently the Washington Commanders. Let me see here. I've got to... All right, let's see here. I got to send something. Let me go find that. Okay, I've done 3 of those. Now I need number 4. Which was really that one. That becomes number 4. Cool. Yeah, Louisa, you were probably here yesterday. Yeah, now people are thinking admirals will be commanders, the Washington Commanders, but we shall see. Okay, let me mail this. Whoops. This goes to... That's right. Okay, so I need those 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Correct? Yes. Done. Woo! So I'm trying to think. We're out at 52. That's 409. So before, I'll try to get to that by about 46 or 47 at the latest so that we can comment on it on the way out. Let me write down 46. We're going to do our pop tribute coming up. Coach Gregory Charles Popovich. All right. Now, this. Thank you, Dean. Have a great weekend. I'm now going with the Spurs hard hat in honor of Coach Gregory Charles Popovich. John Williams says, in 1869, Harry Wright formed the Cincinnati Red Stockings, and the team played its games at Union Grounds, which was located just west of downtown. The team name originated from the high red socks or stockings the team wore with its knee-length pants. We need like a daily segment with John Williams. Random thoughts or random facts with John Williams. There you have it. I didn't see that in sports history this morning. I would have maybe run with that. Cincinnati Reds are a big deal. Yeah, Louisa, I like Commanders a little better, but it besmirches the good name of the San Antonio Commanders, of the Alliance of American Football, the defunct San Antonio Commanders. It's a name you don't say all the time in daily conversations. Defunct. All right. See what else is going on here. Here we go.
Back to the Chris Duel Show with Shannon Salty Sweeney.
Welcome back. on this Football Friday, January 28th, birthday of Gregory Charles Popovich. Dave Ayler is your Soundscape stylist. Shannon Salty Sweeney is your mistress of all that is salty and all the salty shakedowns. And Shannon, Dave Ayler told me it's a great topic and we should explore it more sometime with our listeners. You know, what have you stood in line for? And Dave mentioned the Boston concert back around 1987. So Dave, you then texted the dude you slept in the car with for tickets in 87?
Well, let me clarify there because you made that sound a little creepier than it actually is. We slept out for tickets. It was me, my friend Chris Roth, who I just texted, and Keith Overbeck. And we had two cars. Chris slept in the back seat. I slept in the front seat of my car, and Keith slept in the back seat of his car. And it was probably around, I'm thinking 87, because that's when on the Third Stage tour. And I think that was right around when the Third Stage came out for Boston. And the old St. Louis Arena, probably me and probably there was a load of people out there, probably 500 cars out there in the parking lot.
That is funny.
And of course, nobody slept. It was all just a big party, everybody drinking and smoking stuff that they shouldn't have been smoking and stuff like that.
Now you do know when Boston began, the band Boston, it was one dude in his basement creating all of that sound, and he had to find a lead singer frontman who could pull it off. I mean, I don't know these guys' names.
Tom Schultz.
Okay, thank you. I'm glad you know. I remember I was in high school when Boston hit, when that first album came out, and it was just such a unique sound with that guitar and More Than a Feelin' and all those other hits. Boston was just a unique sound. So I could see waiting in line for that one. So Shannon, now that you've kind of experienced the waiting in line thing, sort of, is it's something you never want to do again?
Well, luckily the line wasn't too crazy. I mean, there was plenty of people there for it being what it was, I think. But I just think of like now, like obviously I'm a huge Justin Timberlake fan, and Dave mentioned Ticketmaster, right? Ticketmaster is known for like the worst, I think, online line experience, and you constantly get kicked out, and you jump. You can have multiple screens up, and you'll get in one line, and it'll be like you're number 938 in line, and then you'll get on another screen and load it, and it'll be like you're number 45 in line. You're like, wait a minute, how does that? Wow. It's just, and then you'll get in there and start letting it take, and then they'll kick you out. Or bots. Obviously, you didn't have bots when you were physically standing in line for things, right? And maybe you paid a kid to go stand in line for you to do something, but you didn't have a bot who was then immediately turning around and trying to resell whatever it may be for twice the money. So, I'm not opposed to a stand in line kind of thing, but I just don't really see it happening anymore.
Yeah, and the older I get, the other night I went to a CVS drugstore, and as soon as I walked in, I saw the line was like 7 people for the cash register, and I had things I needed. I said, nope, not going to go and spend 15 minutes waiting in line for my little cough drops or whatever.
You can sleep out at the CVS.
Yeah. Well, where there's a CVS, there's a Walgreens on the corner of Happy and Healthy right across the street, so you could just go there.
True. Actually, that's what I did. The Walgreens, I had to do a U-turn, and it wasn't convenient. It was like Stone Oak Parkway and like Evans Road or something. But yeah, but that's exactly what I did. I said that on the right side of the street I was on was the CVS. It made more sense, but I said, all right, I'm not waiting in that line. So I did a couple of U-turns and made my way to the Walgreens caddy corner to it. I do want to revisit for a moment, Shannon. We opened the show with it. We talked again the next hour with Paul Alexander, the big Cowboy news, double news that broke yesterday. First, Dan Quinn choosing not to take a head coaching job somewhere else. He's going to stay as defensive coordinator with the Dallas Cowboys. I texted that to you immediately. I was dancing in the streets until a couple of hours later, we learned that Mike McCarthy will be retained by the Dallas Cowboys, crushing our playoff hopes for next year. You've had a chance to digest this. How are you feeling about it as we embark upon the rest of this Friday?
My joy for retaining Dan Quinn, I think at this point outweighs the fact that we are stuck with Mike McCarthy with that head coaching title. for next season. And I'm starting to wonder, because obviously a lot of people, they look at, okay, you haven't had coaching opportunity, and look at all that money you probably make compared to what you're making now. And I'm not really aware of what Dan Quinn's salary is. But also, we have Jerry Jones. And I'm wondering if there was like a sweeten the pot outside of the lines, kind of, where does your family live right now? Would you like to live in this house? How are you getting to the stadium for these games? Have you seen my chopper? Would you like to use it? Like there's more that could come of this, with being associated with Jerry Jones. And I thought Coach A made a great point. He's betting on himself. And because imagine, he may not need to interview for anybody if the Cowboys were to do what most people would consider unthinkable and go to a Super Bowl and win the Super Bowl. He'd just say, this is the job I want. You're going to give it to me. And they'll say, yes, sir. How much would you like to be paid for it while we're at it?
Huge points.
And Chris, who called that? This man right here, Monday or Tuesday.
Right, you did.
I said,
who's credit to Dave.
All you gotta do is I even said, Jerry, if you're listening, just sweeten the pot a little bit, get him to stay.
Yeah, I'm glad you
next year.
reminded us. You did call that, and I thought you were yeah, nice. That'll never happen, and it did.
Yes, I don't get many right very often, so when I do, I got to rub it in.
Absolutely.
I don't want to say I don't want to say anything. I want to say I said, but yes, I did.
You did. You told us so.
And Jerry, if you're listening, thanks. Jerry, if you're still listening, remember the first one's free. After that, I got to start charging you.
Well,
Jerry's got some cash.
Jerry, if you're listening, I'd like my pot sweetened. I'd like some of that Dan Quinn action, whatever it is. I'm available.
Speaking of sweetening the pot, this kind of surprised me, Shannon. TNT, Turner Sports, has agreed to a multi-year deal with Draymond Green.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people now believe that eventually Draymond Green will wind up on that panel with Ernie, Kenny the Jet Smith, Charles Barkley, and Shaq. What do you think about us having to watch Draymond Green on the TV for the next many, many years?
A couple of thoughts. Charles Barkley is 58, and he has said when he turns 60, he's done. So people are automatically assuming that Draymond will fill that seat. Here's the thing. I've never seen Draymond Green open up his mouth and have anyone with the response of, that man should be on TV more. He should be an analyst. We want to hear his thoughts on everything basketball related and more. The only thing I've ever thought when Draymond Green has opened his mouth is, shut up. So I'm very confused with this hiring. I don't know if it's just like a marketing, let's just see where it goes. People will tune in to see if he does something crazy. And if it doesn't work, we can wipe our hands with it and be done. But it doesn't excite me. TNT is already a great broadcasting unit. We talk about them all the time. They are the cream of the crop. I don't know why you would add him to it.
I'm with you. I don't like Draymond Green, and I will be shocked if he has the charisma of anybody on that panel to Charles Barkley, Kenny the Jet Smith, Shaq is wonderful on that panel, and Ernie Johnson. So, and I never, kicking people in the groin, just holier than thou, just a troublemaker, not a good dude. I am with you. I want to grab one more before we pay tribute to Pop. The Bengals Stadium watch party canceled. I didn't know about that. You do? What's up with that?
Yeah, so the local council there in Cincinnati had this idea that, they were going to hold a watch party, right? Because not a lot of Bengals fans are probably going to make it out to Chiefs Kingdom for this game, but they didn't get the time to think about it because, of course, they had to play the Titans. And so they really only had a 5-day window. They kind of put the idea out there before it got approval. And because of the uncertainty of how many people would actually show up versus how many people they'd need to work it, all the logistics basically behind it, they said, you know what, never mind. But there's a but. They did say that if they go to the Super Bowl, that'll be an 18-day window for them to, as of right now, to go ahead and start working on those logistics for a watch party for the Bengals. To me, that doesn't sound like fun. Cincinnati, February, sitting outside, watching a game that's not being played live in front of you. No, thank you. But I guess there are fans that are seeing this as a desirable thing, maybe a moment that they can all share together. So if that's the case, then so be it. That's just not something that I would enjoy.
Yeah, you make a huge point. You know, we saw when Milwaukee won the title, all those fans that were in the courtyard. Yeah, that's summertime, but yeah, Cincinnati in February to watch a game that's not really being played in your house is not ideal. That's a great point. We do want to do this one more time. We did this earlier in the show, and it sounds so good, even if you heard it. I can't get enough of it. And we're paying tribute to Greg Popovich on his 73rd birthday today. And part of the fun, this audio montage, you hear a lot of the great Bill Schoening with the calls from the 2005 Spurs championship run, ultimately over the Detroit Pistons. So this goes out to Greg Popovich. This goes out to Spurs fans. But most importantly, we say, happy birthday, Greg Popovich, with this.
There is only one goal, and that's a championship.
The San Antonio Spurs have knocked off the Denver Nuggets 4-1 in this first round series. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the Manu Ginobili Show. To the corner, Allen. His shot is off the rim, no good. This ball game is over. This series is over. The San Antonio Spurs have knocked off the Seattle Sonics and advanced to the Western Conference Finals. Manu will dribble it out, and the San Antonio Spurs are headed to the NBA Finals. Ginobili, he'll cut it inside with the left hand. Shots around the rim and good. For Manu Ginobili. Manu, that is why you do the voodoo that you do so well.
I mean, he put some English on that ball off the glass.
The final score in Game 1, Spurs 84, Pistons 69. Beto finds Ori wide open for three left corner. Why not? Just tell me, why not? He knocks it down. The white towels being waved. The Spurs have taken a 2-0 lead in the finals. Exactly the way the Spurs wanted to start off.
They're just not valuing the basketball.
You make runs, you make plays. Plays that they weren't making in the first two games.
Rasheed Wallace at the buzzer. That shot is good. Actually, with 1 second to go, the Spurs need stops and they need some baskets. Right now, the Pistons are doing what they want. The Pistons have evened the series at 2 games apiece. Ori, wide open three for Robert Ori. Shot is good. Robert Ori knocks down the three with 1 second to go in the third quarter. Outside to Ori. Robert for three. Shot is good. Robert Ori with a three-pointer. Manu's going to drive on Prince. All the way in. Runner in the lane. No good. Follow is no good by Duncan. We are going to overtime. Inbounds pass will come from Robert Ori to the corner. Manu Ginobili. Out to Ori for three. Left wing. Shot is good. Robert Ori knocks down the three with 5.8 seconds to go. Rebound tipped out front. Grab by Bowen. This ball game is over. The Spurs have won Game 5 of the NBA Finals.
We worked very hard to get the home court, so we have to be ready.
Man, oh man, we wanted drama. We got it in Game 5. We're getting it in Game 6.
I know it's going to be a tight one here. Basically, it's going to come down to who blinks first.
Big possession right here. Ginobili, who's got it on the right wing, fakes the catch and shoot three, drives it inside. Manu all the way. Pass is intercepted by Wallace. A costly turnover there for the Spurs. So baby, Chauncey Billups just dribble it out. He's not going to take a shot here. And we will have a Game 7 on Thursday night at the SBC Center. Ben Wallace takes it inside. Shot blocked by Duncan. Here comes Barry up tempo. Inside to Ori. Left hand hook shot good over Ben Wallace. Out to Barry. Takes the three. He'll penetrate. Runner in the lane is good for Brent Barry to the top. Ori. 8 seconds to shoot. Right wing Ginobili. He'll drive all the way in. Manu. Slam dunk. Manu Ginobili. It's off to the corner. Ori for three. He got it. Off to the left side. Phillips fires a shot. Blocked by Bowen. The Spurs defense has been stellar. This championship basketball. Takes shot Prince. He fires a three. That shot's no good. This game is over. The San Antonio Spurs have won their third NBA World Championship. It's fiesta time.
And Tim Duncan has solidified his place in Springfield.
The San Antonio Spurs win 81-74.
There's only one goal, and that's a championship. Championship. Championship.
The San Antonio Spurs have won their third NBA World Championship. It's fiesta time. And Tim Duncan has solidified his place in Springfield. The San Antonio Spurs win 81-74. Championship. 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 Championship.
Happy birthday, Coach Greg Popovich. And Shannon and Dave did it. I got goosebumps again. It got me. I mean, that's from 2005. Pat Evans, longtime production guy at iHeartRadio in San Antonio, put that together many years ago. I still get goosebumps. I'm a total Spurs nerd, man.
And I was doing all those games that point. That I just moved here. 2004 and 2005 was my first year doing the Spurs.
That is so cool. That's even cooler for you, man.
Yeah, I remember when I was running the board for all those highlights that happened.
That is so cool. And Bill Schoening just on his game as always, sounding magnificent. Shannon Salty Sweeney picking the Niners and the Chiefs. Enjoy your football weekend.
Yes, sir. You as well. We're getting close to the end. It's sad to see it go, but some great games ahead of us.
And I picked Chiefs and Rams. Come on, Joe Burrow. Prove me wrong. Shock the world. That would be so much fun. I want the Bengals. Dave HARDGE, have a great weekend.
Thank you. Be back on Monday.
Beautiful. We love having you back. Everybody have a wonderful football weekend. Spurs and birthday boy Greg Popovich hosting the Chicago Bulls tonight, pregame 7 o'clock on 1200 WOAI and across the Spurs radio network. For Shannon Salty Sweeney, for Dave HARDGE, and a big thanks to Coach A, Paul Alexander, who will host this show with Shannon a couple of days next week. For all those peeps, have a great weekend. See you Monday. All right, y'all. Have a great weekend. Go Bengals.